A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out my friend too.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome, everybody. I'm hoping that today, we don't have the problems that we had the last time out yesterday. Apologies for what happened yesterday with the show. Got cut a little bit short because I had some technical difficulties. So welcome to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mukwena. I am your host. The show is on every Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. and then also on Fridays at 12:30 in the afternoon, where my members, my contributors, the premium overthinkers get to decide where the show is going, decide the topic, and they speak more than I do on that show. That is part of their perks. Now, the show was on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Now it's going to exclusively be on YouTube and TikTok. Just having some problems with the Facebook, but that is all it is. So please follow me on all of the platforms. If you're listening, if you've listened to the show before, because it is saved on YouTube in full, just know that if you want to join one of the people and be one of the voices on the show, then you can join. Then you can join me live while I'm here on TikTok. Follow the TikTok account. Then at the bottom of your screen, there'll be a button that says multi-guest. Click on that button, I let you in, we have a discussion, and we speak about whatever we are speaking about today. Now, what I want to do today is speak about two things. And again, guys, it's not just a little composing agent. What I want to do is speak about two things. We're going to finish off the conversation we're having about the structural problems and issues within the PSL. I'm using the example of Steve Kompela as the jumping point of that conversation that we had yesterday. We're just going to wrap up that convo because there is more information that came out. Uelasto Capoenza did go on to E94.7 and on Andile Mnube's show to try and make his side felt. So I wanna continue that conversation maybe for 30 minutes or so, and then we're going to jump into the feuding coaches. Naba, here they are. Rulani versus Ramovic. Rulani versus Hugo Bruce, Rulani versus Mang Mang. I want to have a conversation about the media and our coaches, man, speaking in the media. All of them are made of the same stuff. So we're going to have those conversations. So to start us off, to jump us off, I will first start off with what we spoke about yesterday briefly. For those who don't know, Steve Kompela left Morocco Swallows, and he spoke about there being a lot of problems that he faced within the club, especially with management, especially with a team manager, Elasto Capoenza. But then we had a broader conversation speaking about how the PSL and its structures are not really up to snuff in terms of this. So you can look at this at different levels. You can look at it at the team level, where you can't have a team that can't pay salaries. You can't have a team that can't provide the bare necessities to their players. You can't have a team where people have power, are wielding that power to take people left and right and do things that are incorrect, and how there's a general lack of love. But then you can also look at it from the PSL level, where it's 28 years in, we're having the same problems every single year on year with teams, where teams are closing down, teams can't pay, teams are renaming, teams are going left and right, doing all these things. And yet we still don't have a definitive way for the PSL to deal with these issues as and when they are happening. So we had a bit of a conversation there. So I think I'm not going to make it too long before we get into the next topic. Let me open it up. Remember, guys, you have to be following me on TikTok, and join me while I'm live now on TikTok in order for us to have this here conversation. Maybe the guys who are on yesterday, if you could please jump on so that we could just round up that conversation and then go into the topic about our coaches and how they behave and act and talk and relate to each other in public, in the media, and maybe personally. So let's see. What are you guys saying? What are you guys saying here in the comments? Teminkosi, how are you? How are you doing? How are you doing, Teminkosi? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wonga Lechu says, the more feud, the better. Yeah, man. The more feud, the better. Okay. Agent, my brother, how are you?
I'm good.
Hopefully today, when we're talking about these serious things, man, things don't happen. But anyway, so as we were speaking about yesterday, we were talking about some of the problems that the PSL has structurally, whether it be at club level or at PSL level. Maybe if you could just give a general thought from what we said yesterday and also some of what we heard from Elasto today. What are your general thoughts?
I think let me first start by congratulating you. This is what we talk about, impartial journalism and responsible journalism. You know, yesterday we went hard for Swallows and Elasto, and Elasto came back. So we must also give feedback on what he said, you know, not just be one sided because maybe we're like Steve or whatever, you know. So I think this is what you call, responsible journalism. Now, on Elasto,
thank you.
on Elasto, he gave politician answers. You know, a politician will get in and say, we will end load shedding. Questions are how? No, don't worry, we'll end load shedding, overloading, what, the what station. Do you guys have problem, you know? So I think when I'm listening at him, he's basically saying Solos doesn't have problems. You know, he disputed the fact that players didn't get salaries. It's like if they're late, they were 3 or 4 days late. You know, he disputed the whole getting of lunch or dinner, whatever, in the gym. It's like that's fake news. He disputed the fact that 4 players were sharing a room. So if there's nothing wrong at Swallows besides the basics, what is wrong? You know, what is his problems? You know, and sometimes I wish for. I know he's still. I don't know how to say this, but maybe new in the game, one delay. But I feel like sometimes that's why you need a Robert, you know, to push the buttons a bit, because I felt like he was letting Lost to get off the hook a bit, because there's no way players can strike over 5 days of not getting their salary, or even 1 month of not getting salary. I doubt players can strike for that. It has to be more than that. So there is more to the truth than what Alosti did, but he did what every PR or whatever would say, which means protect the club, deny, dark, and that's it, you know? So I don't know, like the English do say, there is your side, my side, and the side of the truth. I think only God, Coach Steve, and Morgan Solos know the truth. And lastly, yesterday you mentioned, but why didn't Steve go to the upper management? I had a lot of saying the management was the ones who instructed him not to call Coach Steve. So yeah, I don't know how to make
That's why I want to ask you that. Do you think that what we heard from Elastro is basically Elasto? Hey, Elasto is basically pointing towards what we spoke about towards the end of yesterday, where we said maybe management doesn't see an issue. Maybe management is the real problem here. And maybe as we had given them, you know, a bit of benefit of the doubt, maybe now it's just come to light that, guys, management, this is how they feel.
Yeah, today it seems kind of upset to say a lower level employee can make such drastic changes without the blessings from above, you know. That even at that time it did seem like, okay, cool, you know. Look at what happened at Royal AM. At Royal AM, it showed that Mr. Nisi acted out of confines or without the blessings of the owners, because when the owners came back, they were able to rehire people and let Nisi go. You know, that's how you show that was acting on his own, not on me. You
Yeah.
know? So the fact that now everything is back to normal at Swallows, it shows not Alostro, but what the name is gone, but yeah, that person, that guy
Elasto, yeah,
is
the
acting
Elasto.
on the Elasto is acting on behalf of the Swallows management. So yeah.
Okay. Prastomi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Grand Pizza Mushapwe.
Hi, man. Mina ngikren. Stomy, you went in Izolo, but we were speaking about how a lot of these teams, man, Mauza Leitori, that come from Morocco Swallows, that come from Steve, that come from different stories we've seen over the years. Now we are seeing that the structural issues. Can I get your general thought about in management, PSL, like PSL clubs, and why, man, we still have these issues every year and they're not new?
Okay, as OT, I've been following his stories, Steve, until ndazomamela this guy. Lo manager, general manager, Gomoroko Swallows. One thing I can tell you, something is proving Ukombela was right. I will start by saying Ukombela, if you kumbula, he was a coach at Profounding Celtics. Celtics went to Indefan and I learned exactly. I mean mismanagement on the level of managerial level, a problem. And iyaproveka because Ukombela explained izinto wasibonisa. At some stage, some people were not believing him. But what made us to believe him, it was when the team was sold to eBay Royal AM, proving those problems were there. So when you go back and check Morocco Swallows, Swallows for the past 5 years has been working with this Alosto guy. Obonakalayo is full of excuses. He cannot clarify izinto with the way abuzwa ngakho. Meaning, a team managerial level is managed by people abangazinto, abantu who are not determined. A team is ibe standard right because it tells you why Swallows is struggling. Ngabantu abafana naye. Mna ndiyayibona ii-owners, but when you're an owner, sometimes you want to distance, unike abantu a chance to lead the team, ibe nendlela uyifuna ngayo. But those people, if ubanike a chance to destroy the team, it will be izawufika ithi bekwi-standard esinje. Hence bendiyibona that zonke into ebezithetha, it was so true. Unantsika Ukhombela is explainile loo nto, yaziconfirma ngokwayo uba Ukhombela ezinto did not create these stories. This is exactly into zenzekayo. And on managerial level, with teams South Africa, iyabonakala. There's so much problem. Incompetence is there. Abantu, they don't know how to do their job. Hence, at some stage, when equal problem with the coaches, abafuni uthatha accountability, instead they're making excuses and blaming abantu. So it is le nto kudala isenzeka. And ke ngoku, if uyakhumbula, the likes of Chippa United is firing coach action every day, but we have never had a problem ezifana nemali. Even though siyazi uba okay, ugaxa coach because he wants results, a team to be kwi-position egrand. It says someone is respecting up, but kojonga on the level side, kule Swallows, something is wrong, bruh. Something is wrong. And the Swallows, I'm telling you, Capital Space is not the team that is going down. The team that is going down is Swallows because the people are fine about Alosto, they are destroying the team. They do not care. It says we are talking about Zimbabwe. Ubenethemba loo nto structure your team to be a better team. Ithathe coaches that are well experienced ezifana noCompbell and treat them trash. Hayi bra, otherwise kuphelile ngebhola. And the Swallows is going down. Even though they can change, if they remain with that person, more problems are coming.
But then, isn't this then where we start looking at management? I know we said the owners might not be people that are there day to day. It might be people that are letting other guys have rope in order for them to do what they need to do. But surely when it comes down to now, people are not getting paid. It comes down to now people, there's hem-hems, they're not coming to. Surely the owners need to step in. And doesn't it say something, ngama owner, Guti nangu elasto ukhona uSteve uhambile ucoach Steve uhambile. surely then the owners should have at least replaced Elasto or at least found somebody else to help him out.
Yes, when at some stage, yes, when you rely on cheap labor, ibe ngabantu to facilitate and team ukuze ibe yile nto uyifunayo, zezinye zee-problems ezo. Because those Zimbabwean guys, ube yabona, they're taking anything and they don't care if i-team bayayibulala okanye bayayikhulisa, because hence kubakho into ezuba kubekho i-management, because uyeva nje kwiside lakhe there was no time as a general manager you went and go out and try to fix problems with players and no Steve Campbell before into iye kwi-ownership ye-team. Something is wrong, because at some stage as a leader, general manager, you need to do something positive. Uzibonakalisa uba when things are bad, you are there to support the team and make players and understand the situation, including Campbell. He failed to do that. Now we should blame the ownership, whereas ownership has deployed someone to do this job.
I don't want to make it about the Zimbabwe thing. Let's not make it about the Zimbabwean guys. But I think my question becomes: you've deployed him, but you see something is wrong. At what point does ownership step in? Especially when now your team is not going to. I understand small problems that maybe don't make it onto the pitch, but now if Team Yako is not making it to games, Team Yako players are on strike every day. Surely at some point, David Mkhash was somebody who's very active in South African football. You see him speak about football every day. Surely there's a time where you have to step in. Or maybe when Steve Compella is coming to you, are we not letting these owners off the hook?
Yeah, it can be. City, you are letting them off hook, but at some stage, you must say when you have a general manager, at some point, who's capable of managing a team, even to direction oyifunayo. I think it's ngoba abantu babekayo, because you appoint those people who think ngabona bazi better, and they will better the team to a good standard. Ibe le team uyifunayo. So how fail management, and at some stage iyakwazi fail ownership of the team, because it does not mean ownership of the team was not aware izinto zenzekayo, but kuyacaca uba the person abambekileyo abamthembayo ikhona miscommunication that is wrong. For the fact that akakwazanga ukucommunicate with unatsika players and compare, then I say to the top management something is wrong.
Okay. Malume Kutso, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, and how are you, Mr. Uti?
I'm okay. I know yesterday you were in the queue. You're in the queue. What are your thoughts around this topic here?
Abakhuzwe abantu. Let's not be xenophobic about the situation, please, guys. It's unnecessary. That guy was hired by South Africans, so we can't say all South Africans are a problem. The problem is within that camp. I understand. And let's also leave Alostro out of this.
Elasto.
Alostro.
Yeah.
Alostro is in rehab. Alostro, talk about Elasto, guys. Alostro, so surprised, or how? I'm killing swallows. So please, guys, leave Alostro. Mr. Oti, you know, there's something maybe it's a blessing and a curse. That is Petrus Motsepe. Dr. Motsepe joining the league is a blessing and a curse. If you listen to Natasha Chikla, I think I'm saying it right, when she says how she sold a portion of Sundowns to Mr. Motsepe, is that she noticed that, you know what, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. And when we hear Witty, Sundowns wins 75 million and gives it to the players, Yonke. Now imagine you're a shareholder there. You are celebrating with 75,000. 75 million even. And they tell you, we are not getting anything. It's for the players because he's a major shareholder. Now available with whatever the procedure is, I tata yonke club. And I think that's what is happening to the PSL. He is blowing them out, Mr. Oti. He is blowing them out. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't know. But yeah, he's blowing all of them out. And when it comes to Dr. Koza and Mr. Mtau, we must reduce it to a human level. I think I've expressed the amount of admiration I have for both of them, for where they started and what they started. But I think as a compliment to them, what they started has become bigger than them. And, when I check the age, I'm also cognizant to say, can they really make decisions? Are they really running the league, or are people using their names to push their own agendas? That Taung is turning 80, Mr. Oti. There is no way he's making those hard hitting decisions. Someone else is using the face of Ntatem Taung to make all of these hard hitting decisions. He's very old. The Iron Chook is 76. I remember seeing him some 5 years ago. I could not believe what he the time mos. Mr. Oti. You see, camera, I think it cuts about 5 or 6 years on them. But when you see them in real life, it's someone else who does not have king the same energy as them who's doing this. For them to bring the league this far, mainstream, a TV with so many sponsors, it shows that they had the right energy. But and it's over to Petrus Motsepe. And to make Dr. Motsepe an example, now I'm going to Iswalos. There was an issue between Sundowns, CAF, SAFA, and the PSL in relation to whether Sundowns would be able to play AFL. He did not fold his arms and say, I copy Dr. Koza and Dr. Denny Jordan will come up with a decision. Instead, he ascended into the arena and said, hey, sizoyilungisa bafethu 1-2 asiyenze kanje. And Sundowns played and even won the trophy. Same Banyana Banyana. He knew it affected South Africa. He knew it affected CAF because they were going to the World Cup. Ascended into the arena again and made a decision to say, okay, I'll give you your bonuses, guys. Please go and play. What stopped Swallows management to ascend to the arena and say, okay, we understand Elasto is killing the team, according to Coach Steve. But it's all over the news. It's all, you wake up, you hear with. I mean, we don't have spies there at Dobsonville telling us that Solos is not coming. Solos has money problems. We pick this up on the media. You switch on the TV, they tell you. It's all over. So the management, the high-ranking officials there at Solos, what's stopping them from ascending into the arena and asking Coach Steve, what do you need? And what Elasto was trying to say, he can produce receipts of rooms, that 20 rooms are booked. We know these things, Mr. Oti. If you've lived in Sabin, you know these things. Yes, sometimes there's something called a kickback. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying this is what happened. There's something called a kickback. You can book 20 rooms and have someone occupy that room who's not even part of the team, Mr. Oti. And only allocate 15 to the team and have 5 to a room cost for 10,000 per night and have someone else rent the room out for 7K per night and you get 7K, say 5. So it's in the end of the day to come and to come and present that, yeah, these are 20 sleeps. They showed us, Mr. Uchi, that there are beds there. People are sleeping co base. You know, basic
Hey. Then the next day, it's also Paulo.
Imagine, and then we are surprised why these boys can't knock the ball at the back. They can run. Baromet's on top of your pace, Mr. Oti. Now I sympathize with them. I used to say what they're doing is stupid. They were in pain. They could not move. As he pays in a mayama planga nemikoti, Mr. Oti. I've not slept, but stepped on top of his base, and I thought I would never sleep here. I'd rather sleep on the ground. So there is no way, Mr. Oti, we're going to blame Coach Steve and Elasto. The blame should be squarely put on e-management, e-swallows, as well as the PSL, Mr. Oti.
Do you take anything from both Elasto and Steve Compella's reluctance to go there? Because at no point, like they asked to Coach Steve, how's your relationship with the chairman? He said, it's great. It's great. It's amazing. Elasto na, he said, fam, it's management. Do you take anything from that? And is that maybe some of the issue that even the parties involved, in as much as their jobs and future prospects are in question, should they be calling them out?
I had to go through the archives of my brains to remember a certain incident that I heard of on Kanakemang. There's this guy who interviews all players off the pitch, TK Solutions. He was interviewing Clifford Ngobeni, and he said, Clifford Ngobeni says at one point, he was told to stop training. I think he was at Aros or was it Maritzburg, one other team. He was told to stop training, and then when they came back, they said, "Oh, but sign. It's okay." Yeah, I understand. So once you hear such, you understand, Witty. In as much as we want people to be brave, these people have to look after their livelihoods because you can actually be frozen for real, Mr. Uti. So when you go through the thing at Clifford Ngobeni, he was frozen out, and that's one of the best CDMs we've ever produced in this country. The fact that Abu Penny McCarthy were frozen out from the national team. And we're talking about a global star here, not a South African star, someone who occupies a coaching seat at Man United. Who are you, Mr. Oti? When you're at Swallows, Mr. Oti, if they can freeze out someone like that, you have to think twice before you speak and say, you know what, there are many fights that I want to fight, and this is not one of them. You can fight and kind of put yourself in jeopardy, but once you put your family in jeopardy and once you put your children, the bread, their schooling, I think that's reckless. So I understand why both Elasto and Steve Compella would be reluctant to say, but the management could have done 1, 2, 3. They will always give cryptic answers, like the actual alostro about what's the actual situation. So I understand why they would do that.
Okay, I'm gonna come back because there's something I want to ask. Maronza, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm okay, but how are you?
Maronza, mina right, man. But tell me, Maronza, na situation, Compela, no Elasto, no Moroka Swallows, no Maplay, and all of this stuff. What is your general thoughts about this situation? What do you think, man? Ngalenda with PSL, there's too many of these problems.
You know what, ne? There's so many things that I can say, right? But mafungwasha imali ngebhola. This is what happens. Mafungwasha imali ngebhola. Kuzokwenzakala kanje. Because masengasangeni la mali leya. Lebo uthi ayawasha. Remember there's elections coming, guys. There's so many things that are happening in this country. Who's the trustees of Swallows? Let's start there. Because the trustees, most of them, they're from the government side, let's be honest. So now there's elections. So many things have been stopped because why? Elections are coming and all that. Right? But if you look at Swallows, the cracks were there. When they're going to play Pirates, already there was something that was heating up. When they went to play Pirates, I think it was what was the score? Kind of 2-0 or 2-1, something like that. Last time we played Orlando, the cracks were there. Already they were showing there's something fishy that is happening in the team, but you can see how they play and all that. But what I can say to you is that when you wash money with soccer, this is what happens. There's guys that are washing money with soccer and all that. And one thing that they did is that most of the guys in Swallows, they don't know football. Most of the guys, I mean the top management, the trustees, they don't know football. So they took somebody down there, somebody like me, and then put him there and say, do the dirty job.
Yeah.
Shooting kulmiqiniso. Hayi madoda.
Hey, Maronza. Hayi man.
Uza yonke into mpa.
Hayi man, no. Ungangifaki allegedly.
So the trustees, they don't know soccer. Let's start there. They take guys, young guys, guys who are cheap labor and all that to run the show, you know. And when you do that, right? Remember, if you take me there, the next thing I have to look for a loophole to make money for extra cash. It happens. I think Dukuto said it, but he didn't want to go in. Mina saying again, it's there. You know, you want to make extra cash. You know, but what I can tell to you is that PSL now, I think they have to refresh. You know, they have to refresh because why? Look at this, man. Teams. How many teams have been sold? How many teams? How many teams are not signing players because they made blunders, they made mistakes along the way. So they need to change, you know.
Okay.
I think we spoke about this last time where we talk about England, you know, how they do things. And you find England is being run by the Arabs because why? Most of the teams in there they are being run by Arabs because they have money. They can sustain the team without the money that comes from the what do you call it, from the league. You know, and run it without them. They can even take the money, donate to the league. So that is how it should be run. But now look at the Swallows when the players were assembled. Most of the players, they took everybody. It's like they were calling everybody sponsorships and all those things. And by the way, if you look why Swallows were denied to sign sponsors, ask your questions why. Because why? There's so many things. If you don't go with these old men's, with old guys at the office at the PSL, you will never ever 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 get it right. You need to you beg them, sit with them, ubancenge, ubatshele ukuthi ubanikani, because if you don't do that, you won't sign. Remember, everything that is need to be signed as a sponsor and all that, it needs to pass through PSL, then they approve it, and then after that you can sign that sponsor. So without them signing, without them approving that, then you cannot. Bahamba babanika amatika atshekile nani all those things, you know, ikipa isibhekile ibhasi bathatha ibhasi lakudala bagqobisa bashaya izandla, you know, the change, all those things. There's so many things.
But then, Maroza, I want to ask. I think for me, the bigger issue for me is it seems as though we are letting owners of teams, we're letting the runners of the league. So, for example, at the club level, we're letting Abu Mukhasha off the hook by saying that even when the house is on fire, see, when on the news every day, nobody's stepping in. You're not expected to because you're an owner. And then you look at the PSL, another team is going through a tough time and you don't have any protocols that, you know, maybe you stick somebody there who can watch and see what's happening at the team. Then there's steps to step in and take over. You get what I mean? We don't see any of those things. Why is it then? Why is it like that? I'd imagine that all of these things should be thought of. Guti, what happens if a team can't pay salaries? What happens if an owner goes bankrupt in the middle of the season? How do we make sure ukuthi siyakhona ukungena or siyassiste or sibambe just so that up until we get a new buyer or something like that? Why don't we have those things, man?
Okay, let's open the office of PSL, right? Or go to PSL. Those guys, they own teams. Do you want to audit me owning a team in the PSL? What I saying, bro? So funa ngadli manje ile nto ngitshela yona. Exactly what, yeah, I hope you understand me. So the guys that are owning teams and they're getting sponsors, they're getting money from our brown envelopes for sponsors, for about televisions, for radios and all that. Then now you want to say, let me audit my own team. How am I going to do that? Hence now when it's elections time for the PSL, you find that there's so many things that are happening. You understand me? But what I can tell you is that if we can remove everybody from the office of PSL, right, of SAFA and all those things, and then we take somebody who is going to, like, maybe Abud Kuto say, let's go and run PSL. He can run it differently. he can run it differently because why? He doesn't own a team. But
Mm.
the minute you start to own a team and then you run the league again,
Mm.
everything that doesn't benefit you, it is not approved.
Mm. Mm.
It is not approved. So these guys, they are owning teams and they are running the league again. You
Okay.
understand me? That is where the problem is. And now, if you look at it, SAFA, is the government of soccer, but what do you call it? Ilentusan is a private thing. So if SAFA now, if SAFA and PSL, they can sit together and they put the differences aside, right, and start communicating, we can see a different office. But now these
Okay.
guys, they don't understand each other. That's another thing. So if
Okay.
they're not understanding each other, they're not talking, they're not in the good terms and all that, whatever they do it. If they don't like you, they don't like you. Simple as that. You understand me?
Okay.
I mean, I'm still saying I'm complaining too much about these guys. They've been there for a very long time. They need to change. We need to change. You know, soccer needs to change. The office needs to change. The SAFA itself needs to change. So there's so many things that are happening within the history of football in here. We still stuck. Hence, Namaji Sati, for example. Let me. Now, I don't want to go to politics, but we still
Very
stuck.
quickly, Ronza.
We stuck there because we're saying Ivan Kosa was in the land before. It's not like that. If we need to change, let's change. Simple as that.
Okay. Kumo. I just let the other guys jump in. I'm not sure. Kare ikatile ka wena mawan.
No, yeah. Like it's sure like I hold the fort. You really were he.
No, Kumo, I was just giving the other the other guys a bit more time. Since you are one of the guys who were in yesterday, I'm just going to ask you to maybe wrap up the thinking that you had yesterday. And then I'm going to ask one more question to everybody before we go into the next topic.
No,
Welcome
it's
also.
fine. Thank you. Evening, everyone. No, I spoke a lot quite yesterday, ne? Maybe I'm just gonna comment on Alostro's response to Steve, ne?
Guys.
Yeah. Either way, you could call him Alostro because Lena, like the original Alostro, Ule no chalaga limit, Hata, Oblela Falazana, So, if we look at how Steve Compella, as a person, as a coach, as a man, he has always portrayed and perceived himself in the media and also in the game of football. He has little to none scandals, right? And this is the first time that he has openly spoken about a team in a negative light. So
Yeah.
why would he just say come out unprovoked and say things about Swallows just like that? Especially knowing what he's unemployed and that could actually jeopardize his future endeavors, maybe coaching here locally, because employers don't like that. So obviously, is it Elasto? Ne? Man Alastro. Yeah, Elastro is still at the employee of Swallows and he has to do damage control. Mara, based on what Swallows has been doing lately, they've been doing things that are not that are very unscrupulous in terms of like when they postponed their matches or rather forfeited their matches, they didn't follow the follow channels, right? They fired 22 players because they refused to go to training because of an unpaid wages. So if a team can do that in public with no shame, with no correspondence, explanation from them, why is it hard to believe Hore they didn't do whatever Steve has accused them of doing? And obviously, a team as big as Swallows, they're gonna try and salvage whatever reputation they have left. And unfortunately, Elastro isn't the man to do that, because a lot of the things you say is like it's hearsay. I want if Steve was speaking lies about their team or him, he could have easily just provided the evidence that he claims to have, or he could have made a comment professional way, distancing themselves, or they could have tried. What I would have done, I would have made Steve look like he's a disgruntled former employee who couldn't get the results. You know, like twist it to your favor and make it seem like he's crazy. Damn. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Can hear you. Go on. Okay, I'll come back. I'll come back to you, Kumo. I'll come back to you, Kumo. I don't know what's happening there. Look, here's my thing. I think my issue with the situation for me is that it shows a lack of foresight from all the parties. So we sat here at the beginning of the season when Coach Steve was hired. And I literally said, and a couple of people said that, guys, will Swallows be able to afford all these moves that they're making? Will Swallows be able to, from the outside, looking in? Now, surely, if you're looking at situations like this, let's say from a PSL level, the PSL should have mechanisms ready so that you don't get to a point where teams don't honor fixtures. You get me? So that you can get to a point at the moment we hear that salaries are 1, 2, and 3, because in as much as we might not want to audit these teams and you might be digging up skeletons, at the end of the day, them not honoring those fixtures looks bad on them and to their deals with sponsors and all of that stuff. Chelsea goes through what they go through with Roman Abramovich. Nobody could have expected that USA, again, Russia would start a war with Ukraine, and then that would put the owners of those teams in a tough spot, right? But they had the foresight to think that if something happens to a team, we have mechanisms to jump in, step in, take over, even if we have to administratively take over while we forcibly go look for a new owner. That's an act. It also shows you at the club level that what were the chairpersons and the owners doing in the time that for months and months and months you've heard rumors of this happening. Now, I can live with a rumor. I'm on the outside. I've got a TikTok show. Most of the people in the comments were not involved with these teams, most of the people on the calls, but the teams themselves, you're telling me that as an owner, you wouldn't go, hi man, guys, ngizwa bathi kuyastrikeyiwa. And that's even being nice. Don't you come in and say, guys, every 2 months, every month, we have a sit down where you update me about what is happening within the club. Where you come in and you show me the graphs and you tell me about the salaries and you do all that stuff, just so that I can keep my team that I own in check as well. But to say that the owners are separate, for me, it's a tough one, because I'm like, no, there is no PSL owner who is a business person who would run their businesses like they run their clubs. There's not one. And I like what Agent said in the beginning. I don't think Motsepe, outside of the money, guys, money aside, I don't think Motsepe is showing you anything different. These are meant to be the bare minimums of how you run a club, how you act in a club, how you do this in a club. It's what Coach Steve was alluding to when he said, guys, we've all been in rooms where we've been in football, where we've been in the room and we have to do our setup and we have to do all of our stuff. If you can't do the basic, then how can I expect more from you? Agent, I want to ask you one last question very quickly. I'm just going to ask everybody the same question. Agent, does this expose the fact that there's a lot of people that work within our clubs and within the PSL, man, that are just ending, that are king, how do they say it, that are killing, buying a living, or you know, that are not earning their money, that don't do anything? Because I said this last time, we default towards straight to Babkoza and Tate Kaizer. What about all of the people in between them? What about the people that are meant to run the day-to-day? We default directly to Elasto and we default directly to management. What about the people that are in between? Does this show that there's a lack, man, of that mid-management or the day-to-day management at a PSL and at a club level?
You know, if it wasn't for you and this show, I wouldn't know that my mother, Manto Madlala, is the acting CEO. I wouldn't have known. If it wasn't for this show, I wouldn't know our father, Kaizer, is a deputy of Koza. I wouldn't know that, you know. I'm just trying to show you that, and there are so many legends, so-called legends, who are in Safa that we don't know of. If it wasn't for this show, I'm sure others I wouldn't even know that they're part of Safa, you know. And I'm gonna skip on the example that I wanted to make because I can't. It's not nice to make an example of the departed in African culture, but I'm just gonna go to Sundowns and skip over one person who departed recently. But I think it was Abuti Kutso in the group who was saying, but Sundowns man, for all the successes that you guys have, you know, on the field, you guys couldn't, you know. For now, I feel like with the power that we claim that our president Patrice Motsepe has, we should have long gotten the approval for a new stadium, a top class facility, what, you know. And I think that speaks to the middle management that say, how man, guys, who is there? What are the likes of Ebo Moloto, Abo others and others and others? What are you guys doing there? What's your job exactly there? You know? And we can go to the family team and say, but it looks like these always positions which are created just to fit in the Motown kids, you know. What are your jobs? You know, same with parents, you know. So I'm not surprised that there is so many redundant positions even in other teams where it's like, as long as we keep you on our payroll, it's fine, you know. You look at Sundowns, Trump is on Sundowns payroll, you know, to do what? To be on a podcast, you know. So I don't mind that. I'm just saying they're supposed to do that. He's a legend, but I'm just saying there's so many redundant positions in both clubs and SAFA and the PSL where people are not doing their jobs, you know. So sometimes, like you're saying, there's a big disconnect between the lower management and the upper management. Is these people who are in between who are not doing their job exactly? So yeah.
Okay. Prastomi, is this showing Guti there man on the day-to-day admin side, there on the day-to-day man middle management? Ingati our teams they are shorter in that regard where they don't have the people. Is this showing that type of thing? As an example, in Nagu PSL. I don't know if Prastomi is still with me. Okay, Prastomi, I'm going to come back to you. Let me go to Malumekuto. Same question. Is it exposing Guti Kare middle management man or admin or, you know, even the other silent positions like marketing? Kare, these teams, they are shorter even though there are people on payrolls.
I think the term you're looking for is salary thieves.
Yes.
There are many salary thieves roaming around. But I like what Umaronza said. There's one point that he touched on. And funny enough, I was discussing it with someone today. You have to know football, Mr. Oti, to run a football team.
Yeah.
And knowing football is not about being a top scorer. Knowing how to run a football. You see, I've tried in amateur football to run a team, both tournament football and development football. It is tough, Mr. Oti. You learn of things that you never knew which you would learn of. I'll give you an example where you want to take a group of committed young boys to go and play tournament football. You know the pain of playing a top 32 and losing a finale. People are encouraged that you lost in the final, but they don't understand that if you lose a Wafa tournament in the final, it means you've spent more than the guy who lost at the beginning. Because you spend every day, you spend on these kids, you give them ikaholo every day, and even on the day that they lose, they still look at you and say, "Ngizogibela ngani ukuya ekhaya?" You have to give them from your own pocket. So if you don't know football, Mr. Uti, it's a trainer. You'll be shocked that the boy, there's a star player, lesekumele usivuthe usinike imali sokukorela. But you have a boy on the same position as the star player who is actually your star player in your team, but is not as good as the star player. So what you do is that you prioritize your boy because you're thinking, this one, we are going somewhere. We are going to Chiefs, we are going to Pirates. Mr. Oti, once he sees that you're prioritizing him, he grows a very big head. And Kaltsa's trainer, you meet him in the streets, walking with his girlfriend, and you think, does he know how much I'm investing in him? On the game day, game is at 10 o'clock, Mr. Oti. You drive your car to go and pick him up at 9:30. You find him at Sasaboroto. At 9:30, game is at 10. So if you don't know what it takes to run a team, if you don't know how young boys can mess you up, you'll find yourself in a situation where players on the eve of the game are telling you it's assist. You don't have contingency plans to say, okay, if these group of players don't come, I can pull X and Y Z stand to honor that fixture. So I believe that point Gamarons to say we have a lot of people who don't know football, Mr. Oti, who are running these football teams, who don't know what it takes, who don't know which there's a threat here, there's a barring landmine, bomb that can explode at any time. We see Abo Sundowns paying players a lot of money, ridiculous money. Abo Chiefs, I remember Jabu Mahlangu saying, today, as a star player, as a development player, you enter the scene, you are earning 2.5. You bank 2 goals. The next day, Mr. Uchi, after paying, they call you to the office, you are earning 20,000. You go on a run 5 games, suddenly you are earning 100,000 because they can see we must manage this one.
Do Shabalala as an example.
You understand? We must manage this one. He gold mine this one. Why? They have experience. They've seen Uchi. This is how it develops over and over. And these ones don't have experience. That's why they go and sign an Andy Lechali, a Capatino Mango, not knowing which Mtala Lumundu. He'll get injured. And if he's your main player and he's injured, suddenly you have no team. Suddenly you have to look into the DDC, yet you are paying someone 300,000 and that someone is in hospital demanding more for a treatment, meaning you have to pay doctors. You see maybe it's a domino effect of not knowing who to sign and how to sign. So Mr. Maninga salary thieves, there are a lot of people who are not honest that I'm not as clued up in administration. And there are a lot of people who have big mind, how do I put this? A mind of running a big team in a small team.
Yeah.
You have to know how to run a small team. You have to know how to run a big team. And I feel there's a serious issue when it comes to that part to say these people are thinking big, yet they are running a small team and the budget is very tight. I don't know if I'm making sense, Mr.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I think that's why the only place I'll push back, for me, I look at it as none of the owners are new to the game. There's not one owner in the league that is new. At the very least, David Mukashwa and Panyaza have had Swallows for, I'd say, 10 years now. I think at this point, if mistakes are being made, the mistakes are being made on purpose. Nabo Mamki's Israeli Eagles was running for a very long time. With her there, I can't excuse the owners on that one. And even to the point of, I don't think that Mtsepe knew football, but I think he's come in and he runs it so much like a company that just the basic things, man. How many times do you touch base with your people? How many times, what are the KPIs? There's all these questions that I have that when you look at PSL teams, you're like, man, guys, Karilona, you don't even sit down every 6 months, every quarter or whatever, and sit down and go through whatever, if it's like that. And I don't know how much that should be allowed in a top league. But let me go to Maronza. Maronza, very quickly, before we go on to the next topic. Maronza, how many people are sitting in PSL jobs? Emma Timin, who are meant to be on top of these things, for us to point to Ilasto I want, to point to Kaizer Junior I want, to point to Prasten I want. There's, I'm sure, what, 30, 40, 50 people hired at each of the clubs that do jobs. Are these situations showing us good, guys? Not to to that are stealing a living there. Thank you, Madam for helping me there.
Yeah, man, there's so many. There's so many. Like, you find in a team when you look at the stuff, right? As much as Steve was talking about ice bath, right? There's somebody who has to be responsible for those things.
Yes. Exactly.
Simple ice bath. You know, somebody you have to massage them. And when you look at it, what was he doing for the past 6 months? So there are so many things. There are too many ministers of portfolios in these teams, which they're getting paid for God. You know, they don't even understand football, by the way. You know, and as much as they're saying, you find that in Mafemi and Bafagumunda, they still do the very same thing. I mean, at Swallows, there's a guy that I used. Let me not go there.
Yeah.
I let me not go there. Let me not go there. Let me not go there. But there's do you know teams? I think I big as in filing a right. Yeah, but I feel they do that, you know, and it is unfair because you find somebody who's new and all that, so we fees you. Kanjani manje uzwenzani ufizo kanjani bakutholela lapha kuphela bakuletha kuphela just to guy 10,000 the rent and all that, and then he pays it's 150. That's what they are doing, these guys, man. As I'm telling you, these guys, most of them, they cannot run these teams. They cannot run these teams, chief. Swallows, when they came, you know, I was happy for them because after changing the name and all that, I was saying, yeah, you know what, they're getting it right. But they went and bring everybody, you know, everybody, old guys and all that. I'm a reject amaning and all that. Hence, I'm saying, if Swallows were too smart, right? The guys make them survive. They survive relegation in 6 games. Let's be honest. 6 games, last 6 games, they survive. Swallows survived relegation in last 6 games. And who was that? Who's this guy now?
Nyatam.
And then this guy, the owner of Swallows, went to Robert one day and said, we won't change the technical stuff. And then they went and bring Ulentuza and Steve after a month. Do you understand? Now you're breaking up everything that was there. Why couldn't they stay with Nyatama, who was less paid? Yes. Players that were less paid? Yes. Just beef up with few players, then go on with the momentum. But because big-headed, they don't know how to run this team. They won't even, you know what? I wish they go to, as much as ngayithandi cheaper than Swallows nje zivele zihambe zingasakhuzi zingasabuyi nje total. Because we still this card with PSA like.
But then Maronza, that's why at this point, I made the point Izolo, guys, we can't have a league where we are 28 years in. We're 28 years into this league, right? Where you can still have teams missing games for whatever reason. The Chiefs Akumbula, they missed it in COVID and not what. But there's no remedies or repercussions. Or you have a league where over the last few years, how many teams have we lost that used to be here and couldn't pay and had to collapse and had to do all of these things? But still to this day, there's no way for them. Yeah, like, you know, earlier when I was talking about I wasn't even talking about auditing. I was just saying, Guti, Maronza, sumkrupana. I hear Guti Maronza ngati struggling ngemali, right? As a league, surely there should be a thing where we go, okay, Maronza, we're going to step in and we're going to help you. But then X, Y, and Z must happen afterwards, right? So that at the very least you can honor these games. or at the very least, siyazi ukuthi you're not gonna, for lack of a better term, embarrass us with our sponsors or mess with the league's reputation, right? Why don't we see those things? Nakon. That's my worry here. Ukuthi I'm a basic Maronza. I'm a ice party basic. They spoke about on Marawa. They spoke about the tape for muscles. Those tape things that they put on their muscles. They had to go buy them by themselves. Brendan Truter. So then I'm like, Amara guys, actually basic for running a team.
You know what? Easy, man. Easy. As much as I say, PSL, let's make PSL a company because they are private. They are running. What is wrong with them loaning teams money? If I come and say I'm struggling, I cannot go. We cannot pour petrol in our car for the next 3 months. Why can't PSL loan these guys money? You know, if towards the end of the league and all that, make an agreement and all those things just to save the embarrassment for sponsors, the losing of sponsors and all those things. Remember, if they start to do this, it dent the South African football as a whole. You know what is going on in South Africa. So PSL supposed to protect the PSL as a whole, to say we are protecting this brand that is the PSL and all that. Let's do something. You can't tell me that PSL they don't have money to lend or to loan these guys. You know, because at the end of the day, you cannot say as much as the PSL is big. If Sundowns can go to partner with the hotel, even Chiefs, man. I don't know the name.
Yeah, Sun King. Anyway, yeah, that one.
You go and partner with those guys to say, you know what,
Southern Sun.
These guys, yeah, Southern Sun. Guys, this is the we want to partner with you, because when teams come from Cape Town, they can come to you. But if they afford, they can go to their own, book their own space, But if they cannot, they can come to you with a lesser price. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with going to Mango as an airline to say, if the teams are traveling to Cape Town, this can you please reduce the price to this? You understand me? If go to Sasol, go to Engine, go petrol wise and all those things. We're talking about a big brand here, which is PSL. But these guys, because they're running their own teams and they want to chow first before they do everything. Look, Alastro, whoever, that guy from Zim, ujampile na weza ngapha wamnikuspan.
Ay, Maronza, yekelane.
Okay, sorry.
Ow.
Uyakhuluma. You know what? I couldn't understand when they asked him about off season, and he says we cannot do an off season. A big team like Swahili's cannot do an off season. Like go to Northwest and book for 5 days. Go to Cape Town and book for 5 days. As a big team like that, a month with all the players in one room, in learning TV and all those things, big screens and all those things. As a big team, it shows that the cracks were there already. But what I'm saying is that PSL, they are failing these guys. They are failing these teams, to be honest.
Okay, no, guys, I think I need to move on to the next topic. But this has been a very interesting chat. Agent, do you want to say anything in closing?
No, not really. I think this is just like the second topic. It's just two high school girls fighting. So I think that's it, because I feel like as a coach, it doesn't reflect well on Steve. Or
Elasto.
You are the one who infected him with Alostro. It's you. I was calling the guy properly until Elasto doesn't reflect well on him. And I heard him saying that Andy said, Swallow said they want the right of response. And they sent Alosto Where is the
Elasto.
PR manager? Elasto. Where is the PR manager?
Exactly.
Because this doesn't also reflect well on Solos as a club, you know.
Yes.
And you're bringing in someone who's emotionally charged.
Mm.
Obviously, he's gonna respond with that energy. So when you're bringing in a PR manager who knows the importance of PR, he was gonna, close down the burning fires. You know,
Who
now
is the
you're
PR
hoping for the
manager?
success, if he exists.
Okay. No. Alright, guys. Okay, no. Thank you, Agent. Okay, guys, we're gonna move into the next topic. Master Goodwill, that time OT doesn't watch Sundowns is the time they win. Guys, and imagine electricity hamba during that Sundowns match. I could only watch highlights afterwards. Okay, guys, let's get into the second topic. Simelanyana. Okay, this is the surface of it. On the surface level, for those who don't know, Coach Rulani came out and he made some comments in the media speaking about how Uramovic and Hugo Bruce, he called them and he solved the issues and he goes direct. And this comes from the TS Galaxy versus Sundowns game in the Carling knockout where TS Galaxy beat the Sundowns, but that game was 2 days after Bafana Bafana had played. I believe it was Ivory Coast, I'm not mistaken, right? So he didn't have his players available and he was saying, how can you play 2 days or 3 days after Bafana Bafana has played? It's unfair, which shined on ETS Galaxy as you guys would be beaten by Sundowns if it wasn't for this thing that was happening with the PSL. Ramovic took it personally. They had a bit of a tete-a-tete. They went back and forth. Then there's also the fight with the Hugo Bruce, where, you know, him and Hugo go way back. They've been calling each other names and complaining about players. And there was a comment made by Hugo Bruce saying that he thinks he's Jose Mourinho. He thinks Rulani thinks he's Jose Mourinho. Rulani then came out and he said that, hey guys, I don't speak about these things in media. I wasn't raised like that, but I called. Ramovic today or yesterday came out and said, guys, the call was him swearing at me and telling me that I'm a foreigner and his family, and if I want to, if I want to stay in the country, it became a whole bunch of stuff, right? And he came out. Oh, and he also said that Hugo Bruce never apologized for anything. So whatever Rulani spoke about is false. There's the surface of it. But now I want to take that as a jumping point for us to speak about the deep-lying issues. The deep-lying issues with the relationship between the media, our coaches, and maybe the coaches between themselves. Because South African football, for some reason, is plagued by this thing where every day somebody says something in the media, Abo Bogen Mamila, Abo Rulani, Abo Bruce, Abo Ramovic. How do we feel about our coaches doing this publicly? How does it shine on our PSL games and things like that? And in general, do we need more PR training for these guys? Do we need PR managers to take over this stuff? Should we stop these press conferences and things because they tend to make more troubles than they are worth? And also, when we pointed to our media, hey, our media wants that headline, guys. Our media wants the headline. And our media does not care what happens within the game or how we look or what transpires after that. They just want the headline, and these coaches of ours are falling into it. So I want to know from you guys how you feel about it. Is it a big issue? And the relationship between the media and the coaches, how does that shine upon our teams? So let me let in the guys, and let's see the next panel, and let's see. Musa says the PR manager was not paid. Hey guys, you guys are salty. Sean, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay, my man. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me, what are your general thoughts about this back and forth between Rulani, Ramovic, and Bruce? And then secondly, this relationship that our coaches have with the media, man. Surely somebody should be trained or something.
I think our media is. Excuse me. I think our media is only good at chasing the bad story. That's antagonizing coaches. I mean, somebody from nowhere went and asked Jose. They call him a plumber for what reason nobody knows. You know, but they couldn't see Lodge going to Sundowns. So it's that type of situation with our media. They're always trying to chase the bad story and to antagonize. I mean, the questions they asked about Hugo Bros. This thing happened a long time ago during AFCON. They're asking it now. But my thing with Coach Rolani is two things. Number one, he went to the media and spoke about Emudiba who's injured, and he was played by Hugo Bros. Now he can't play him. Whatever have you, Wabo. So my thing was he could have made the phone call then to speak to Hugo Bros, and then we wouldn't be in this situation, right? And he's complaining about something that he also does. This thing of, I mean, he played Charlie and Ribeiro in the AFL final when they were not 100%.
Okay.
You understand? These are things that he does, playing players when they're not at 100%. And now you compare that with somebody else. For me, when it comes to that, he was throwing stones from the glass house. Our double standard. But the Ramovic situation, I'm fully behind Coach Rulani, because this story started way before the game that you had to play in the Carlin Black Label. It started with the owner of TS Galaxy somehow implying the UEFA license is better than the CAF license. And if it was up to him, he would pay for Rulani to go do the CAF license. You understand? Some people saw it as a compliment, but these people are professionals. And again, these people compete. All of them are emotional. There's no one in the PSL that will tell me he's not emotional when it comes to these things. All of them are emotional. And then it went to when they beat us 1-0 last season, I think, or that last minute counter attack, when Coach Rulani basically explained that they were overloading the sides when they were defending, so it was very difficult for us to penetrate. You see, so then the coach from TS Galaxy came and said he doesn't know. It kind of implied doesn't know what game, what the coach was talking about. But they were not overloading the sides when they were defending. Right? And then came the game after we played with Cote d'Ivoire and we didn't have 7 players. So what happened there was Sundowns tried to speak to TS Galaxy to say, let's push the game to a Thursday. I think it was the Thursday the following week, if I'm not mistaken. They said we can play this game on this day, right? But because Tim Sugazi saw an opportunity here, he was like, no, there will be no such a thing. You see? Then Tim Sugazi went to a radio station and said, no, that's not what happened. We spoke to Sundowns, we all agreed we should play that game on that Wednesday. You see? And all of this is happening while coaches are saying, and this is the one thing I had with Coach Roland last year. He was too humble. People kept on saying that he's not coaching Sundowns. Sundowns has quality. I mean, if you have money, I mean, and this season you have a Gavin Hunt saying with the team they have, they should have beaten us 7-0, 6-0, and you kind of, you have to understand when you're a professional that these are very condescending comments, especially from a coach who's very young and is trying to build a career for himself. So this was the time that he had to come out and say, you know what, to start swearing at people. It is a very important time for him to swear at people. The only thing I don't agree with is the Hugo Bros issue. Hugo Bros is being under attack since he got appointed here in South Africa, to be honest with you. You see, he's been under attack since he got appointed here in South Africa and said, I want to play youngsters. And then he realized, well, we don't have much youngsters playing football, but Tamazwan is a GOAT anyway. You understand? So with that issue, I don't agree with what he did, but I agree with him with how he handled Ramovic. You see, because Ramovic has been like this, man. I mean, he spoke about commentators, he spoke about coaches not improving players. You know what I mean? So those are things that are supposed to be said by a Hugo Bros. Hugo Bros has every right to say our league needs to improve. That our league is very bad tactically, and he's telling the truth. I mean, today I was watching the game between Amazulu and Royal AM. Yo, guys, I was only glad they scored a goal and there was no extra time. You see, because it's honestly that bad, and it's not. Sometimes you see a team that's trying to play football and a team that does absolutely nothing on the pitch, and then it feels like both teams are bad, but it's only one. You see,
but then should the coaches be speaking, regardless of who's saying what and who's defending or who is attacking? should we be seeing this from our coaches that they're coming out and saying these things? Should they just be straightforward in the press conferences, speak about the game, go home, and not necessarily, because I feel as though they've been given some leeway to speak, and it's causing more harm than good.
But it's the thing with South African journalists. I mean, all of them ask personal questions. Not really personal questions, but non-footballing questions. There's never a question that they're gonna ask, and you feel like this is a footballing question. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, if they interview Ribeiro tomorrow, they're gonna ask him about how life at Sundowns has been. If they interview Mbule tomorrow, they're gonna ask him about what happened last season. For some reason, I don't understand. You see, but you're right when you say the coaches need to be able to control that type of situation. You see, I mean, Ramovich didn't have to say that. You understand? He didn't have to say that. You see, when they were swearing at him, after the call was done, he should have answered the phone, and he started swearing back in Spanish. Where is he from? You understand? So it was unnecessary. But it's our, like I said, our journalists are only interested in chasing the negative story.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Let me bring in Hauser. Hauser, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm good on you, my man. How are you?
I'm okay. Hauser, two questions. Firstly, what do you think of the situation? Yeah, Rulani, Bruce, Ramovich, that situation there. And then secondly, what do you think of the media in SA?
Well, you know, as the previous speaker has said, they're antagonizing Rulani, and you look at how he has run the club post Pizzo, post Mangoba and Steve. You know, he has to always prove himself. And I have to say, I agree. He was somewhat humble, you know, under the comments that were made about him. You know, he was always being pushed. Hugo Broos, I said it and I'll say it again. You know, Hugo Broos, he was the villain from the get-go. He was villainized, and he was made to seem as if he doesn't know football. You know, what the previous speaker said, he started off by saying young players. Then he realized that we don't have quality young players to build around, you know. And then he said for he's going to pick based on form. He was still crucified for picking on form. And then he said, I'm going to build a team that's going to play my style. We are the third best team in Africa, and people are still saying, you left this and this and this, Dupreez, you know, those kind of things. He does not catch a break. So what he did with Hugo Broos Rulani, it's a silly thing. Who was he supposed to pick? Was he supposed to pick players who are not performing? Sundowns is a South African team with South African players. As a national coach, I have the right to come and pick the players I want. So your club does not constitute to be better than the national team. And Abramovich, it's clear. You know, he's one of the antagonizers of Rulani.
Oh, Ramovich.
He's been after. Yeah, and it's Ramovich or Abramovich?
Ramovich.
Yeah, Abramovich is the yeah. So you see these guys are antagonizing one another, and here and there. So it was bound to spill over, you know. And now that I feel like Rulani has been is comfortable enough to say, this is my club and I'm running this club, you know, and it's time to speak out like everybody else. You know, like if we know he likes to analyze, it's something we've spoken about a long time ago, that Rulani won't sit at the press conference and say, no, it was a fine game. He's going to break it down to you. You know, and then you come and belittle what he's doing. You know, there's a thing I say, I don't think we played the game that Rulani is talking, but then to say it in a way that is condescending. You know, you're antagonizing the man, you're provoking a sleeping bear. So, and it doesn't help that we have journalists who are trained at Daily Sun. You know, the people who are chasing a scoop, not people who are asking the footballing questions. What they are saying is true. You're going to sit there and you want to hear Rulani break down La Masia, how he beat them, how he did that. And it's silly questions from journalists who are supposed to be the voice of the public. You know, we want to know what happened, what went wrong. But then we are busy asking each other, what's your favorite food? What do you want to do? No, come on. And now if you're a coach who's being frustrated, and every press conference, every 3 days, you are being asked about the same thing. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think? It's gonna start to piss you off, and you respond the way you respond. But then, I don't have a problem with coaches throwing jabs at one another during press conferences. But then the phone call that he did to Ramovich, that was not right. To cuss out a man and call him, he said that he spent 10 minutes listening to nonsense. And now you're throwing your power, your political strength, that you know who my family is. So now that you have a coach that is doing those kind of things, it's painting him in a bad light. Now the people who are against him, they have something to say about him. Now the conversation of a team he's building, this is where things start to spill over from personal to football. Now people are going to start questioning the things he does. They're going to start calling him an emotional wreck. And the media, because they love those kind of things, they're going to run with it. They're going to run with it,
But then can I just play devil's advocate for a little bit? Is it really the media, or is the media feeding us what we want to see? So, for example, when commentator X or analyst X speaks about the game and breaking it down and all of that, it doesn't get as much traction as, say, Junior Kanye coming out and saying something, or Nkululeko coming out and saying something. Are they not just playing towards what we like, or are they creating it?
They're creating. I mean, what's the purpose of football? Is it to be entertained by players' personal lives, or the football they play on the pitch? We can't be chasing things that are outside of the player scope. If something happens outside of like something severe happens outside of the pitch, that I would understand when you ask something like that. But what they are doing, it feels like they're trying to, to build up what do you call this, villains and heroes in the face of media, the face of football in South Africa, the villain of football in South Africa, like what we had with Overseas Club, and you look at Arsene Wenger, how they were portrayed after games and all those things, I'm sorry, but then our football is not at the quality where we can sit back and enjoy the entertainment. You look at how they softball the questions they ask Chiefs after they lose. They never ask the hard-hitting questions. It's always soft touches. You listen to how they interview teams that they don't like. I remember I was listening to a press conference of what was it? Cape Town Spurs. They were asking actual hard-hitting questions. But then the following weekend, Chiefs lost. Like, oh, how are you feeling after the loss? I mean, come on. We know how he's feeling. What happened? Why did he do that? So it's like there's a mismatch happening in football, and it's something that I don't understand. Why are we creating it?
Okay.
There's no reason why we are doing this.
Let me go to Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso, how do you feel about the situation itself, and how do you feel about media in South Africa?
Mr. Oti, I listened to Sean, and welcome back to Hausa, by the way. I listened to Sean, right, giving us the genesis of the Siad Ramovich and Rulane Kanaking war, where it started. However, I can even drag it further back. They were never going to get along. Where is Siad Ramovich from?
Oh, I forgot. Is it Serbia or something?
He's from Germany.
Ah.
And Rulane is the first guy to poke Rulane kahle. Was Ernest made it when we heard the term thuggish behavior. I'll encourage anyone to go and watch that post-match conference. Yes, it was horrible, Mr. Oti. The jabs that kept coming. It was back to back between Ernst and Coach Rulane. So it's not only that. So what he had got, even before meeting the man, I'm sure, I'm just assuming, was bad. Yo, Mr. Oti,
No, I still hear you, but you're fading.
I'm sure I'm better.
There we go.
So it goes far back. So he would have never been nice to him. And also, this thing, I don't think it's fair to say Coach Ryan has been under attack. He coaches the biggest team, Mr. OT. Pep Guardiola is told to date that he's a money coach. To date, he's told that he's a money coach. You have to earn your stripes, Mr. OT. Let's be honest. He's a good coach. We can see it. But a track record ayiko, not because he's a bad coach, but because he's fairly new. They understand. And also, even if there was an attack, there is that thing of witty, but we've been here. And when you get in, you just coach Pirates here, you're coaching Sundowns here with no professional track record within the province. So it's not necessarily which it's unwarranted. Even Coach Pete was attacked with the OT. Even Kanakimang, the Spanish guitar, was attacked not only by the other coaches, but by the media as well, calling him a plumber. But Junior Kanye asking Wuti what's this fake Jose doing here? You understand? And many other people. It's not unique to Coach Rulan. I'll give you another one to show you it's not personal. Mulifinsek was ridiculed from the moment he stepped onto that podium. There are so many memes of Coach Steve Arinkarki when he was Chiefs coach. Kana kimang before in between abom Lifinsek Atas one. Coach Arthur, back and forth. Not that Rulan was being humble. It's common. If you coach a big team, everyone wants the throne. They will see a couple of things that might shake you. And now you do say a couple of things that might shake you, that might shake other people. I mean, Coach Rulan, while he was still at Sundowns, he said he wants to go home and fix the team. Talking about Pirates, when there was still a coach there, Pirates. It's a big seed. Everyone wants it, Mr. OT. It's not personal with Mr. OT. It's not personal with Mr. OT.
Hey. Okay, there we
My
go.
voice, not like that, guys. But we understand, Mr. OT. Even Solinas, I see someone just quoted Solinas. Solinas was ridiculed for celebrating no come up at the Ampolish statue. You understand? When you coach, even Coach Gavin will tell you, once he took over his Chiefs, the backlash that he got was unbelievable. It's nothing personal. It's nothing against him. And you see, in the workspace, young people tend to attribute a criticism to to their age, whereas it might be actually towards your behavior or your performance. Understand? So as time goes on, you improve. You start seeing with no. They're actually criticizing everyone. Even Coach Pito has been called out, Mr. OT. You understand? So many people have been called out. So I don't think he was fair. And I listened to the clip by Seth Ramovich where he says Coach Rulane went into a dressing room by Hugo Bros and gave a speech to the players without Coach Hugo's consent. This is on what Seth Ramovich says. Mr. OT, if that had happened, vice versa. If Hugo Bros had entered uninvited the Mamelodi Sundowns change room and given speech, what best routine? Sometimes we may love some people because they are likable, Vele, and they play their cards right. But we need to call out people to say, but you can't do that. That is very out of order, Mr. Oti. I don't even see any coach accepting that. But I'll give it to the next person.
Let me go choose Chicho. Chicho, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Nkhona.
Let's Chicho. We want njani le ndaba yaka Hugo Bruce, Ramovich, and Urlani. And also, what do you think of Imedia, man, in this situation?
Uyabona Ramovich unomona. So uyabona Sololani uyawina mara akafuna sakafuna ukuvuma.
Mara naku mshayile.
leyo hayi i-friendly game leyo angithathi serious mara leyo media uyabona i-media bayakhetha kuthi ubani lona eyiphi esiyifunayo lena esingayifuni sikhuluma kabi ngayo le media ngikhumbula naye upito msima naye sale bamyenza so ku-media yeah and then kuloku bathi bani ku-coach yabona so wrong naye ku-coach Hugo Bruce complain yabona
Yeah.
wrong because we-coach naye Hugo Bruce ufuna ukulungisa i-South Africa ukuthi sibe powerful ku-Africa nakumhlaba wonke yabona mara kufuneke la sebazwana angishabe sengicedile
Mara Chicho, mabakhuluma bonke, isn't there an issue yokuthi nango omunye akhuluma then ujepa lona, lo omunye ujepa lo omunye, lo omunye ujepa lo omunye. Should it be a situation where abo coach bethu man, they come out, bakhuluma ngebhola, they go home, whether bathandana bathandani, whether they have different thoughts ngomunye, or is it fine mabakhuluma so?
kufuneke bazwane because ibhola i-game is win or lose injalo i-game
Okay, no. Chicho, let me go to TC. TC, welcome to the show. How are you?
George, I'm good. How are you, my brother?
I'm okay. TC, tell me, what are your thoughts about this situation, specifically this situation between the three coaches, and what are your thoughts about the media in general?
Yeah, I'll start with the Said Romovich situation, my analysis of it, I think he kind of the one who started it, especially after that TX Galaxy game between Sundowns and TX Galaxy, it's the Carling Black Label Cup. I think it was after that where he said some comments about Rulani disrespecting him, disrespecting his own players and all that. And as much as he was trying to make a valid point that Rulani was complaining that he didn't have the players that he would have liked, I think Ramovich approached it wrong. Firstly, in my view, I think it was not the right way to kind of approach it. I think he should have just let it be, actually. Just say, hey, we won on penalties, we're happy we won, move on. But instead, he kept going and poking at it. And part of me feels like Ramovich must thank his ancestors or whoever that Sundowns is not coached by Coach Pito Musimani, or maybe Mangoba Ngit is not doing the media anymore, because those types of coaches would have fought back hard, George. They would have told him where to get off. They would have reminded him that he's never won anything, he's never coached anywhere relevant. They would have basically called him a plumber. Because remember, Pito Msimani used to do that a lot with Coach Middendorp. During that COVID time where Chiefs were leading the league for so long, every week Pito Msimani was coming after Coach Middendorp, even though it was unprovoked. But you can imagine what Pito would have done to him, or even what they would have done to Coach Ramovich. And my view of it, Rulani has been very diplomatic with this man until recently, I suppose, because he hasn't said anything as bad as what Ramovich has said. He's been diplomatic, he's been evasive about the questions that he's been receiving, and he's tried to keep it as politically correct as possible. Now, on the issue of the phone calls and the stuff that was being said between them, that one is another layer of it now, because I don't think Ramovich should have revealed it that deep. I think he should have just been said, nah, it's sorted, I'm happy, it's fine. But I guess maybe Ramovich didn't like the phone call. Sounds like he didn't like it, and some of the stuff that was said to each other, it's really, really deeply personal. On the Bruce issue, with Bruce and every club in the PSL, he just needs to have that meeting that he's been asking for. And then he'll solve everything. People will understand him better, and he will understand them better. I think that will be the thing, because with Bruce, since he came in, and someone has already mentioned, it's been back and forth with him and this coach, that coach, and with Sundowns particularly. Sundowns have always complained that every time their players go there, They come back injured. And at some point, he didn't even select Sundowns players at some point for a game or two. He didn't select people from Sundowns. I suppose that was what the back of his mind. But these types of things, especially when we're talking, my view, when we talk injuries, when we talk fitness, when we talk that's between coaches. It doesn't need to come out to the media. So in this case, I think Rolani was sort of wrong. That for me should have been sorted between him and Bruce. He should have at least whatever call or email or whatever communication with the coach and ask questions. What happened to Mda? What happened to Mudiba and whoever? What's the situation? But instead he goes and says it in the media and he makes it sound as if, no, I'm not happy about it. But those guys were playing a semi-final in AFCON for the first time in 24 years. Did we really expect Mudau to say, hey man, I've sprained my ankle, man, I'm gonna miss it? Nah, man. I'm a physiotherapist myself. I've been in situations where I see a player be like, my man, ice me, strap me up, I'm playing. So you can imagine an AFCON semi-final.
Prayer, man. Ngifuna imagine spraying kuyele, man.
Exactly, George, you know. So I can only imagine now. I can only imagine Mudau would have not, if Sundowns called Bafana and said, Mudau must not play. We saw that he has a high sprain, a grade 3 ankle sprain. He mustn't play. No way, man. There's no way Mudau would have said no. What about our patriotism, man? So I think that one should have been handled between the coaches. I don't think the media should have got wind of that. And I really think Mukwena was out of order there. But with this Ramovich one, Ramovich is really, really just pushing it. And then on the media, look, man, I honestly think our media is very disgraceful in many ways. We have literally people on radio and television who are fans of specific clubs. Do we really expect those people to walk into a Sundowns press conference with Rulani Mukwena and ask questions pertaining to football on Sundowns? Or are they always going to look for those types of questions? The famous one on is Sundowns destroying football careers? Is Sundowns buying the league? Is Sundowns what? You know, they'll always look for those questions. They'll never ask a relevant football question in the sense that, how do you think you guys played or whatever? And even with this one, the moment Rulani Mukwena said, he called Said Ramovich, he called Bruce, he handled it. He was saying that, if I remember, because I watched the press conference on YouTube and it just sounded as if he was just saying, I spoke to them direct and it's done from me. But then the media still went on and wanted more information on Ramovich. That the carrot was dangled and then they went for it. And I think based on that, they know, bruh, they know exactly how most fans in this country, your everyday fan in this country feels about Sundowns. They know how your everyday fan feels about Rulani Mukwena. And it's those fans who will say stuff like, they don't believe in Mukwena. They think Sundowns is a fake club, it's doing this, it's doing that. There are many of them out here. And the reality is, they're the ones that sell the newspapers. They're the ones that join the Twitter spaces. They are the ones that engage on Twitter and make it more interesting. And the media's job is to sell newspapers. And even if it's fake news, or if it's partisan news, or whatever it is, what's important is that it sells papers, man. People say sex sells, man. It's the same thing in journalism, man. This is what sells. These types of things sell. The fact that we are here at 9:45 discussing it, that's what the media want. That's what the journalists of this world want. And I think they are disgraced because they don't report football analytically. They don't report football properly.
We don't learn anything,
They seem to
man.
skip certain things and try to push. We really don't, George. Like I stopped buying Soccer Laduma when I was probably 18 years old, man. I stopped buying that thing long ago. But kick off. We don't buy those things anymore because when you get in there and you read, you really don't read proper articles. I mean, even on TV, we watch super sport documentaries. When you watch people talking about players' tattoos and and random stuff, we don't have proper analysis of the game of football. We are half the time hearing about Andy Lejali's motorbikes and Mamang's tattoos and Mamang's dating Mang. You know, like someone's already mentioned in the comments, you'll find something about Natasha. I mean, we heard now Natasha Tian and the Lodge broke up, and it's a story. How is that a football story, bro? That's Temikosis Lodge's personal life, man. We're not interested in that as fans. We care about what Lodge does on the field in 90 minutes. So our media is perpetuating funny things. And lastly, just before I close off, I think we need real football people in media, in football media particularly, because you just get the feeling that we've got a lot of fans in suits and fans with pens and fans with social media that are running as media and journalism, and it's creating this issue because if you go on Twitter, look at who's reacting and who's saying what, it will prove that these guys are literally fans of other clubs who are happy that someone is attacking Hulani, even though the attack for me it's unsubstantiated.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Let me go to Agent. Agent, my brother. Tell me, what do you think of this situation? Number one, and then what do you think of the media, man? The media relationships, how things are covered, like just media in general when it comes to particularly football in the country.
Before I go to the gilly fights and cat fights, let me ask something, right? What do you think sells, right? A story about Rolani given hand fighting, or an in-depth analysis of, let's say, the La Masia game versus Sundowns? What do you think trends, between the two? And we are in a space where people don't necessarily buy, like you're saying, so Kaladuma physical copies. It's all about the numbers that it can generate, and that's why some fan channels that I won't mention here out of respect for a platform, they are more popular than maybe this platform. But when you look at them and you hear them like, hi man, hi, even ordinary Kumo speaks more sense than these people, man, you know, and you're like, but then you understand that it's all about generating numbers, Dstv, they've understood that this is all about generating numbers, since they always play the antagonistic character in the story, always, So it's all about numbers. It's a numbers game for journalists. So I don't blame them, because that's what the environment dictates. So now it's a question that you as coaches, how do you respond to such kind of questions? Do you fall on the web that they've laid out for you every time, or you duck and dive? And it goes back to what you always talk about in terms of PR management, and PR statements. Sometimes I feel like they should just come here, they must come here and listen to, so sometimes they should come here and listen to you, how you put statements, because sometimes you bring in, ask your question like, how would you have put it, and you put it in such a way of like, this is less controversial, especially with Bruce, that this is less controversial. You're saying the same thing that he's saying, but you're saying it in a less controversial manner, But back to the 3 or 4 infamous people. You cannot buy maturity from Kumakuli. You can't buy maturity from there. It's something that you earn over the years. So I feel like maybe I'm gonna be a bit soft on Urulani and say maybe he will learn, because sometimes it's difficult. It's very difficult. I think I've had this conversation in private space with in the group with the coach, so that sometimes for you to understand the actions of a person, of Urulani specifically, you must understand the psyche and the manner in which he was raised. He's raised in a environment where he is praised, he's from a young age, because of the association with Orlando Pirates, Joe Mosono, and the likes, and his father, to be fair. So he is from an environment where he always has attention. So it looks like it's something that he grows up with, that the attention should always be on me, And I'm going to describe a few things, and I'm going to, if you hear them, you feel like, these things, I feel like they tick the box when it comes to my coach, I see there's something called, there's an inflated sense of self-importance, there's a need for admiration, there's a sense of entitlement, there's exploitative behavior, there's arrogance and superiority. I'm just listing a few things. Those are psychological problems that you can identify in Urulani, and psychologists call that a term that I'll leave to the listeners to research.
Think
So
I
it's a
know what
term
the
that I
term
would
is, but it's okay.
I'm gonna see it, So I think that is that, and I feel like genuinely speaking, he needs help, because sometimes he says, I won't say this, but he ends up saying it nonetheless.
Yeah.
I'm like, but how, man? 2 seconds back you said you wouldn't say this, but you're saying it again, So that is wrong. And then we talk of, sometimes when we're growing up, we're told that a white hair means wisdom. But someone said, but even fools grow old. That's the one comment I can make about something.
Okay.
Fools grow old also, because there's a question of, is it foolishness or is it the age factor where I'm like, is gonna say whatever comes to mind. It doesn't feel but it's one of those two. Yeah, so it's one of those two. And seed is seed. The less I said about Tim, the better. I feel like I blame Tim Sogasi for inflating his ego, because Tim Sogasi made him feel like he's the best thing to happen to PSL, ever since Motsepe, and told us that he's gonna change the landscape. But you look for all his achievements, what has he done? Nothing. So yeah.
And I just want to jump in. Look, for me, I think my problem with our coaches is you forget the responsibility that you have. I can come out and say crazy stuff on my TikTok because I have X amount of followers. But once you get into the upper reaches, when you are a national team coach, when you are a coach of one of the most successful teams of the past few years, when you are coaching the PSL, there's a responsibility that you have, because not everybody is going to read between the lines. Not everybody is going to be very calm about things. Some people are going to go up. It's why I always say that for me, I don't worry about what the coach is saying. I don't worry about how they feel and things like that, because that's how they feel. But the problem is when you start broadcasting them, now I get to feel away, Hauser gets to feel away, TC gets to feel away, Abuti Kutso, agent, and we may react differently. And that's why you have this responsibility. The one guy I love, guys, I love him in terms of PR, Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson gets to the point where he's boring. And I wanna push back on something somebody said, where they said that the media goes to certain teams. I think the media goes to certain coaches. The media gets happy to put a mic in front of Morgan Mamila. Like, okay, what is he going to say today? Oh, I want one of the struggling teams. There's my headline. Oh, we know Jose usually doesn't answer us, but he might say something. Oh, okay, we've ticked him. We know when you go to that. If you see as the press conferences, even the press conferences that are available on YouTube, you only ever find Rulani, you'll find Jose, you'll find Kevin Johnson, you'll find Gavin Hunt, because they know that there's a chance that you're going to say something that we can use tomorrow. To that question, to that point, very quickly, would the media be able to change how we consume football? Or is the media just reacting off of what we like? So the media sees that sensationalism in South Africa in general is a thing. So therefore they go for that. Or do they have some sort of power to control the situation?
I think it affects both. It goes both ways, Let's start with the sensationalism, You look at what agent is saying, that we are in this, no, it's TC. He said that it's to 10 and we're still discussing this thing, it means that there's a market for it. But then the thing they forget is what Agent was saying in the previous discussion. Because of this group, we know ABC, things that we would never find out from the media. How the media portrays our coaches, our football, affects the people who attend the football games. You look at a game between Bournemouth and Leicester City. The media doesn't go, oh, it's another mid-table, a lower league, don't go there, What are we expecting a 0-0 game? Those kind of things are being shaped by the media, And we must start now putting people who understand football. And I'm going to use Abutu Kutso's saying here, salary thieves. They are also salary thieves, the people who are journalists in football, And you look at these things, man, like it's their job. Football is not supposed to be entertaining. It's not entertainment sports. It's football. It has its element where it's entertaining itself, but you don't have to create drama around it.
Yeah.
It's like the Real
Or you
Housewives.
can create the right drama. You can create the right drama. You can create,
Still with that, what I'm trying to get to is that it will produce itself, but then don't go looking for things that are not there.
Yeah.
You look at situations where Tuchel and what was his name, whether you didn't want to shake hands, it was something that came from the football itself. Then it's like, whoa, what's happening between these two?
Yeah.
You don't have to fetch people from the inside. This thing had this scoop, man. It's annoying. You listen to there's a journalist here who has a TikTok, and I don't have a problem with him, but then every now and then when he speaks, about football, you listen to your Fabrizio Romanos, some say he's killing football. The teams and the people involved cannot produce things for themselves. It's always, oh, here we go. He wanted this and this, I have a scoop. I have somebody on the inside who's going to tell, it's like, come on. This is not a celebrity thing. It's football, We are there for football. We don't want to be sitting there and hearing about Natasha Liboloch. I want to know, football, sport is an emotional thing. You just lost 5-0. Your coach is not playing the players you want. You are frustrated. And the first thing what the media does, what do? They go and ask something totally irrelevant. Irrelevant, That's why it's important to put in people who know what they're talking about. It reduces guys like Bo Velile, Bo Andile Ncube, Bo Phomotso Manenje. It makes them look like idiots because the people who are representing them don't know what they're asking. You have a journalist who's been covering politics for 30 years, and then suddenly they're being transferred to ask Coach Rulani questions. It's those kind of things where we are killing our own sports with the media. I know we've been saying that our football is not at the power of England and all those things. But then one of the way we can get people to be interested in is how we portray it. We can't be putting tabloid news in football. It ruins it. It ruins it. Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you. Howza, welcome back, man. Let me go to Malebe Kuso. Does media have the power to change the footballing conversations we have? Number one, or are they just feeding into our base instincts as the public?
Mr. Uti, people love football. Football is the most watched sports in the world. People would rather watch football than generations. So when you're bringing generations into football, we are Sogolis. I'll ask you a simple question. Who's Skoma Samantariana's girlfriend?
Maz.
Asmas. But we, as a country, we've gravitated towards Skoma Samantariana because of what he does with the football. He's famous for what he does with the football. That's all we want to know. Not his girlfriend. Funny questions, what does he think of Uloj? You understand? We would want to know what he thinks of Uloj from a football perspective. And, because there's an image that we project sometimes, and me, not personal. But on this one, I want to be clear and say, when it comes to Dstv, they hardly scandalous, man. They're scandalous towards the football. they talk about football. Uchuna will tell you what he achieves if thing striker is dynamic. Paris thing striker is dynamic. Structure, philosophy. That's what they talk about. Not and we gravitate towards that. We watch it, Mr. Uti. Now you get someone who go conferencing where drama. 9-9 drama.
Yeah.
And I did say in the group that unfortunately for him, even though it sounds like, and I understand, which I'm out to get the guy. Unfortunately for him, basazombuza, Mr. OT. Basazombuza ukuthi who do you think deserves to be in the Bafana setup? But they are still going to be scandalous and ask him, Wuti, do you think it's fair that you have 8 players in the Bafana setup? Do you think it's fair that you have 6 players? Even if Hugo Bros decides to drop players and selects one, there's going to be someone who's going to take the mic and say, do you think Coach Hugo Bros is reacting to you? And that's why you only have 1 player. These media guys, I promise you, Mr. OT, some of them, they want Sitco, Relco Poza, or Daily Sun. Some of them, you can see, Uti, I'm sorry, they want music producers. Do you remember when it rained? You know? There's a nice song. It's not you remember when it rained, but I used to love the song. But you can see sometimes that the football instinct just goes away sometimes, and the natural instinct kicks in to want to be dramatic, Mr. It's like I listened to Sean on this on this live, and he discusses I'm 18, I'm 15, you know, I'm 7, but we never hear these from media, Mr. Oti. You feel me? And I feel like maybe it's because they don't have the love for a football.
Yeah.
They don't want to educate I'm a supporter of football about football, Mr. Oti. They never ask Oti, what does a certain player provide? Well, some of them do, but it's not the theme to say what does this player provide that this player can't provide. And once a coach has given ukuthi udlala kanje, they don't even seek to inform themselves that okay, this coach is from a culture A. It means it means he would approach the game this way, and therefore this is why he would do this, and then base questions around that. You understand, Mr. Like surprise us, you know. We share as Konkosini, as Zulu people would say. If I push at Zulu, I'm sorry. When he said they'll tell you about all of these things, but they fail to see Uloch going to Sundowns. They only saw the last thing. Where is the real journalism to go in, go under, in my football stories? They can't even, Mr. Uchi, there was a time where it was a Steve Lekola versus Jabukule. We want to see that fire between Steve Nocha. When the Bazolandana, Mr. Uchi, and no top is going to pay for it on the other side, and whoever is defending for your Pirates is going to pay for it. And we've had a bit of where we could have had Timbers one versus Tembinkosi Lodge at some point. It could have been billboard stuff, Mr. People would have loved to see that. But we missed that chance. Do you know what we focused on? We focused on Jose Rivero being a plumber. We focused on Coach Fulani, which Uteni Ngobani. When there were real billboard things that could have taken over, Mr. OT. You understand?
Okay.
And because an honorable somebody just came in. It's fine.
Okay.
Sure.
Let me go to agent. Agent, does media have the power? I think I asked you, but does media have the power to change how we view football, or are they buying into what we already love? So the sensationalism and things like that. Agent?
Hello? Hi.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, go ahead. I can hear you.
No, I was saying I think it would be fair to invite Bratemba, because I feel like this is a space, for a few minutes, 5 minutes, to answer on the media's behalf, because I feel just like everything in life, it has a head and a tail. The head is, in Igbo language, they say the truth came to the market, but it didn't sell. because people wanted to buy lies. Like
Mm.
I said, what gets more reaction? You talking about football, or some journalist talking about Natasha, or that Sundowns has a yoga something, or that as they say, someone saw a video of Kaizer Chiefs t-shirt on Sundowns Hotel, so it means this Botakati there. Who's gonna get more reaction? We love drama.
Yeah.
We enjoy drama. We feed on drama. And it's like it's like what is it called? It's like TikTok. The more you search for whatever, if you're a football person, TikTok will give you more football. If you're into some funny stuff, TikTok will feed you some funny stuff. So I feel like we are the ones who give this dark energy to the journalist, and the journalists are just responding to what the market is demanding. So I feel like if we can change our attitude to this, for example, sometimes we're on this show and we're talking about tactics and stuff, and there will be 4 or 5 of us, and the show by 9 we feel like, hey man, OT, we've been talking, man. Yeah, we've been talking. It's been me and you talking, yeah. But look at us now, we are pushing to have 10 now, because we are talking about drama. So we people like drama. So I feel like I'm not gonna blame journalists, it's just them, it's just us pushing them to give us the stories, But at some point, journalists must apply or be conscious of that ethos, and what, professional ethics, that man, if I'm asking a coach that, do you feel like you're a plumber? Sure, I'll get clicks and what, but is it nice of me to say that? Is it even humane? Because I feel like it also reveals you as a person, not just the question that you're asking and who you're asking for. It reveals the kind of person you are, so it falls also on that. So like I said, I feel like maybe a book Tamba could please join us for 5 minutes and answer on his behalf. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Pratemba, can we bother you to come on just for 5 minutes so we can ask about this media question? Because for me, I think I'm not too worried about the drama side. What worries me is that we don't balance it enough with the good things. That's my problem. And a lot of you who have been on the show or have watched the show a lot, you know what I always say. How many times have you seen Banyana lifting a trophy, lifting their WAFCON trophy since they won it? I feel like that's also part of media. How many times do you see the good stuff, and outside of the tough questions and all of that, but media in general, how many times do you see those type of things? Because I've always said that informs how you feel. I feel about Bafana a certain way because I've seen them a certain way. I feel about the Springboks a certain way because the Springboks have been shown to me in a certain light. But if you don't show me that and we only see drama, there's some things that will fall away. Pratemba, thank you so much for joining me. How are you, Pratemba?
Great, Baba Skipan.
Hi, right, Pratemba. Pratemba, we were having a conversation today about...
I've been listening. Actually, I've been listening for almost an hour.
Okay. Then you've heard it. What are your general thoughts about this conversation that we've had?
I think it's a fair conversation, and I'll tell you why. It's a fair conversation from the fan side. When you don't have the insight of what happens, And remember that press freedom in South Africa is not as in the UK. There are players with bad attitude. Okay, let me just say this. You have never ever seen me interview Andy Lechali, for instance. It's nothing personal, but my workspace and his workspace would end up being physical. You understand, eh? You get I avoided interviewing Umushin Etugral. Middendorp, the same. Because Middendorp said, I'm going to put this straight. I want to be my friend, you want to be a fucking coach, come through then and take over. Because why? I was engaging him on the tactical side. I love the tactical side of football. But does every fan understand the tactical side of football? No. There's a brother who just said, once you talk about tactical and technical things in football, you won't even have people listening to the conversation. It's true, my brother. It's true. Let me tell you. Mina, at times I'm that guy who many people in football don't want to talk to. Sometimes I'll go robust and say, I'll break the ice and I'll ask this question that all the other guys are saying, hey, this might put me in some sort of trouble with the club.
Yeah.
Do you know that we get calls from the club media officers? Oh, why was the coach in this? For instance, Swallows today. If you watched how Musanya Tama was on that table, sitting there, facing the media, I just asked him a simple question, and my phrasing was around Swallows swimming in problems. Do you know somebody called me from Swallows? Yeah, you're showing off with Swallows, yeah. And we know you support all these big teams because we cannot afford to take you on holiday. What holiday? You understand now? There's that notion that says, oh, some of the media people get holidays from clubs. There's no
Yeah.
club that has ever done that for me. But they'll always find something. There's too much animosity between South African clubs and the media houses. There's too much. Are you guys aware that Isokala Duma is not allowed at Kaizer Chiefs for almost 6 years now? Everything
Didn't
that they
know.
do. Yeah, no. It's an open thing within us. We know it. Are you guys aware that I've been called in at one of the clubs because I had to explain why am I trying to make the coach look vague in his tactics because I ask him things that I already know the answers for. So now let me just paint it again. There's only a few senior journalists. I mean, I can speak of myself, Mazola, Veliles, Nkaring Matsif is on the field, the new breed, Abo Lawrence, who are brave. But if you can look at the others, it's unfortunate, guys, that they go into the newsroom, they're given questions, and even sometimes when they're given these questions, when he has to look at this angry coach who just lost a match, that he has to bravely ask this question, and the coach looks at him in the eye, and then the young man just says, Nkosi yami, I'm going to lose my job here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they end up saying, no, sharp. Or others would even say, "Ay, Grootman, ngicela ungibuzele yona." You know? Because even some coaches, when they look at me, they know that I've been in this thing for almost 25 years now. You know? And I've never been a breaking news guy. I've never been. If it offends others that I took that approach, I'm not a breaking news guy like your current affairs. Hey, no, I'm not. I'm not that. I'm more of an analytical guy on the situation that is happening. I took that from even a school way back when I did journalism at tertiary, because you've given options, that and then that's why even up to today I've never written an apology. Even when I was told to write an apology, I always say, but I've got a fact on this. This is what is happening. A simple point in question. Kaizer Chiefs are chasing Pito Msimane. Pito Msimane doesn't sign for Kaizer Chiefs. And then Dalmain writes an article that Pito Msimane says no to Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs stamps it with a red stamp and say it's fake news. Is Pito Msimane there today?
No.
Who was right? The journalist was right. But because it was not sensationalized, and then it will be a story that will die down. But with me, again, I understand the side of the fence, because before I become my profession, I have to become human. I'm human first. And then I get to follow what the next person is saying. Again, in this industry, Mina, something that I think I would say it kills me. I could personally give you stories that, are very, very big that will blow out in the next 2 weeks or so. But I would say to this young man, here's a story. There's a story brewing there. Call this number and follow up.
Mm.
You know, follow up. And when this person asks you, okay, for instance, I'm the one who initiated the Compella story because I had a 20-minute conversation with him to say, even if we can go to my movie, to my videos, when it started to be bad, I asked Compella in a press conference to say, Coach, you left your comfort zone at Sundowns, where you were not on the spotlight. You came here. And then how sure are you that you will be safe, that you won't have to pay the gardener the petrol for the lawnmower and give players petrol money because you are from there at Bloemfontein? Why do you like paying? And then the very same people, the fans, because I already knew. I asked him something that he knows very well what I know. Ukuthi, things were facing the windy side of the wall. And, you know, Uguti Solos is not going to cope with the bill that they have, looking at their income stream. You know, you can't have a bill of 200 rand when you are earning 150. Is of 50 rand. There was a situation in Swallows from way back. And I had conversations with everyone that is involved. Banyaza, you know, okay, David, I never spoke to him because he doesn't want to talk. I've spoken to the coach, I've spoken to the players, the technical team members. That's why I've been so into this Swallow story, because I've been following it with the resources that I have. I've managed to dig and dig and dig. For now, it's nothing new. But if you can look at the Ramovich thing, why it blew up, it's because some of us knew it was going to get there, but it was a matter of a ticking time bomb. And yes, you can blame the journalists, which is they sensationalize things. Do you know now that the match between TS Galaxy and Sundowns is now a Category A match?
I didn't know that.
It's coming in 2 weeks. Why? Sundowns fans will go to the stadium and want to fill the stadium. I'm going to choose that match over a match in FNB or in Orlando to go and do the Sundowns match, because why? There's a lot of stories that will come from the touchline, and everybody is looking at that. And it's unfortunate again that Tina, as journalists, we are the first point of entry for people who want to say what they want to say. And I understand when you're a journalist, you can fight with the coach now. You'll be blamed by the club and the fans. Not even a single time where they say the journalist was right.
And then, Pratema, just from your end as a journalist, okay, I think it might be unfair to ask this, but when you look at the coaches, how much should they bear in terms of understanding that they control this whole thing? Or Pratema can ask me a question, but it really is up to me, and there's a big burden that comes with that, and a lot of fans and all of that. Should we be expecting more of our coaches in answering some of the questions too?
You see, if the coach does not mind losing the game or winning the match or doing whatever within the club structure, but the coaches don't like press conferences, post-match press conferences, and they don't like. I mean, it's simple. There's a brother as well here who spoke about the players. I mean, I'm more particular about a player because I follow the route where the player comes from. You can check my work. I've always tracked my Umahopa from way back when he joined Ibaroka as a young boy, and I've driven all the way to do a story on him. And when he joined Pirates, I knew that he was going to join Pirates and was going to be loaned back to the club. Okay, fast forward to today. When you ask a coach of a certain club and say, Coach, player so and so does 1, 2, 3 on the ball, does 3, 4, 5 off the ball, are you happy with him? Then the coach says, not only him, but I've got players who do this, players who do that, players who do that. And the coach is shifting the goalpost. It's no longer about what you asked, but it's about what you are saying. And then once you say, but no, coach, hang on. I asked about player so and so. And then the media officer stands up and says, yeah, but you cannot come and cause a confrontation with the coach. They are more protected than we are, to an extent that when players see most journalists, they see enemies. That's how the teams have trained them, and I can be put on record on this. That's how the teams have trained their players. They don't do actual media training, but they do media training, the training against media, actually. So that's where the problem is. Ukuthi Tina as Abantu, okay, mina, I'm known and I've got good relationship with a whole lot of players from across the clubs. And everybody knows Utu Prati. But when it comes to work, he will push you. And when other players are standing with me and they are off, the official comes out, then you'd hear them say, "Hey, Prati, ting vai, hey, I've voting me now." You know what I mean? So it's not as easy for young boys and girls who are coming into this industry because it's already watertight with red tape all over the place. But for us, Tina, who don't care, I mean, I don't care, unfortunately. I don't care. I can show you from my phone people that call me and ask me things. Evit, how do you do this, man? I've been told even things of, we know where you stay. You know? And I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. It's a pity I won't invite you. But if you want to come at your own risk. That's me and a club official. You know what I mean? So you don't just get to the level of being in command in this game unless you have worked your way up, blood, sweat, and tears, and making sure, Guti, you stamp your authority. But unfortunately, guys, the red tape in South Africa, freedom of speech, does not work for the media. That's why a Luka, a Julius Malema would take on a journalist, and that clip would trend to say, hey, nonsense. Hey, get out of here. You're rubbish. Nonsense. All of that. It will trend until the end of time because Tina, we always like to know what's next when we could have actually challenged Malema, but you can't say this man like this. But because of media is silenced. I'm just making an example on what you guys. I don't want to get into political spaces. Last week I was with him at what do you call this, at the airport, and to know that we've got a senior politician attending a Bafana welcoming. I went into their room. There's a video that I did with them. It was just four of them. It was Undlozi, it was Advocate Mpofu, it was Julius, CIC. It was, I think the other guy, I forgot the other guy's name. And then I spoke to them just briefly. And then the security wanted to say, hey, stop. And then he said, no, let him in, And I spoke to them lightly, sharp, and all of that. That's why even after the game, you don't see what he said being put out there, where he said, Jordan must go. Bafana needs a new coach. We need a transformation in the sport. Bafana must climb the ladder and all of that. He spoke so well, but it depends who spoke. That's why you didn't find a young journalist writing that story and submitting it, although it was out there. Because why? We say it was said by a politician. It's voting time. We cannot use this material. It's irrelevant to football. But he was talking about football, So, hey.
And then, Prateba, can you make a comment maybe on the power of media in terms of, I know we spoke about drama and things, but in my opinion, we don't see enough of the other good things, we don't see enough of that stuff. Does media still have the power to shape our thoughts about stuff, or is it now social media have disrupted those type of things?
A person who is not in a press conference can break a story and ride that wave while you are sitting in the press conference. Looking at their social media platform, he would be having 15,000 retweets on a story that you wrote or on a question that you asked. By the time you get out and go to your office and sit and construct a story, already the story is out there, meaning you went and worked for someone else. And now, the media has got a big role to play in general, whether it's political media, sports media, entertainment media. Remember that the media is supposed to be the mouthpiece of the masses, as well as a communication level from the masses to the subject being maybe a politician, a footballer. Let me ask you again a simple question. Have you ever seen a Tembinkosi Lodge interview at Pirates?
No.
Think about it.
Not that I know, not off the top of my head, unless it was like Pirates TV.
Yes, you won't see it. You won't see it. Now he gets at Sundown. Sundown says, tinasonika khulumani naye now. It's because teams have got red tape throughout. Somebody's asked me, can you broke the
red tape.
the red tape? Forget it. Forget it. Only individuals can do that. When a club would call me and say, but why did you write the story when you didn't get it from us? I said, no, but I didn't get you from you again. If you don't tell your story, I'll tell it my way, because I've got the leads, I've got the clues, I've got the pieces put together, and I wrote the story. Is the story a lie? Nobody could have asked me, but if I ask you, you always hang up on me, you run away, you do all these funny things. So I see somebody's asking me about my brother Rulani. Rulani is a young man with ambition. One of my favorite boys. I know Rulani from a young age, man. A young age, as young as 12, 15. Yeah. Rulani grew up just in front of me. And funny enough, we talk. Probably even not tonight he will call me, because we talk about anything and everything. And I'm one guy who says to Rulan, Mkrekesh, I'm not talking to you as a coach now, I'm talking to you as my boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He gets emotional. It's the passion, it's the love that he has for the game, and it's a sono thing, man. Prajay doesn't hold back. His father, Prakeke, doesn't hold back. It's their thing it's in the blood. And unfortunately, with Rulani, he's got too much command. And Rulani, you cannot avoid Rulani, whether you like it or not. He's got presence. He's a young man with a big heart. And for me, I think the confrontation, because Coach Siad is one of the coaches who is close to me as well. I said I'm going to call him tonight and find out, just on a brotherly level, how he is. Because it's very important not to lose ourselves while we fight over something that does not even exist anymore. That moment is gone. The brothers could have done something better about it, but you can tell it was handbags. It was bound to happen. Coach Siad today exploded. And, I don't know what the repercussions from the league. I can be quoted on this. I spoke to Babu Ace Ngobo, the GM. He said, I've already gotten the report, Shaba. I'll ask for your opinions as the media. It's something which is not supposed to happen. But on the other side, somebody here said, bad news, they sell. But it wasn't a good display. But we've had the likes of Ibrahimovic, about Cristiano Ronaldo, going way, way, way overboard and saying what they want to say to journalists. It's nothing new. But in this case, it was just one of those where we say it happened at the wrong platform. But look at the traction and the attention that the Nedbank Cup had. Today. Yeah, that's my 2 cents of worth. Yeah.
Okay, Pratemba, thank you so much for joining. It's always nice, man. This platform is us fans speaking, and we're trying to look a little bit further into things. Even me, I understand that you need to lead with with Ramovic and Rulani in order to get into a conversation about media, for example.
Put yourself in the shoes of a young journalist who is 23 years old, compared to a Temba who is being a journalist for the past 24 years. We understand, Anne? That boy or that girl still wants to have his moments, but he can't just be careless and go and just burst into a coach, because the coach will say, "Who are you?" You know, who are you? Okay, listen to Kevin Johnson's interviews for today, how he was ridiculing others. You know, not ridiculing them in a bad way, but he was just joking around with them to say, I'm just here to do this and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you watched it nicely, Kevin Johnson is a very experienced coach, and
Yeah.
he knows when he talks to a Temba, he will talk to Temba in a certain way, because he knows he will get as much as he gives. Orlando Pirates coach, he knows very well. I talk to him and say, Coach,
You guys, Pratamba, you guys.
it's because I want people to account. And trust me, coach says to me, Shaba, how far are you from Rosebank? I'm having coffee. Coach, I'm not available. You know, we cool with the coach, but it's like when you in a press conference, sometimes you press him because you want to feed people what they need to know, not what you know about him. Let me tell you something, and there's something else that I want to pass actually to the masses. Sometimes I ask a coach or a player a question that I know the answer exactly, and I want to make it sound as if I don't know and I'm stupid. You know?
To give them the chance to.
Yes, a subdue approach to say, okay, I'm going to be stupid on this. A point in question. Coach, do you know that the Nedbank Cup okay, I asked the MTN 8, sorry, the MTN 8 rep. Do you know that coaches don't know that goals for goal gives 20,000 rand per goal every time a player scores? Are players aware of that? No, there's no coach who doesn't know that. There's no coach who doesn't know about that. That's the rep, right? In the same press conference. And then after that, the Orlando Pirates coach comes and I say to him, Coach, are you aware and are your players aware that this is one competition that needs goals for charity? Because once a player scores a goal, it's 20,000 rand per goal, and that money goes into charity at the end of the competition. The coach says, I didn't know that. I'll ask the players to score more, you know? And then then the MTN person is still here. The Sundowns coach comes, you say, Coach Rulani, who are aware about this project, that the CSI from the competition, that every goal that you guys score is going to give 20,000 rand to the charity of the choice of the winning team and all of that. And then they said, I didn't know that. How? When did this thing start? And then the very same person from the sponsor or from the league says, but Shaba, you didn't have to ridicule our sponsor like that. Then where does that leave the Shaba who is a journalist who wants to clear his name? So Mina, I've got that approach to say sometimes fire with fire, man. Guys, thank you so much.
Pratamba, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us that perspective.
I love
it's always
work.
nice.
And remember, just a disclaimer, I'm not speaking on behalf of the journalists. Let's not get it twisted. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, how I work and the troubles that I face and the good things that I face. That's why you don't see me going to clubs and begging for stories. No. If I'm saying to them, I need a story on player so and so, I need to sit down with the player so and so, and they say no, I said, fine. And then they know that I'm there. And then they'll say, hey, sir.
Hi, Pratamba. No, but thank you so much for joining us, Pratamba.
Right now, next week by this time, depending on how the traffic officer deals with the matter between him and the player, there's a player who might be in big trouble next week or 2 weeks to come. Yeah.
Must teach us how to get these things, Pratamba.
And I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying to you, watch out for that player. The clues are there. The clues are there. And the victim has told a certain officer who came to me and said, Kuzalo mfana wako. Or else against something because uzothola se problem.
Pratamba.
So, yeah. Guys,
Thank you so much for joining us, Pratamba. It was great. Bro. Thank you. When legends say it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pratham. Okay, guys, look, we've gone over. Thank you to Pratham for coming in for on that media part where we actually heard from people in the media. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you have not followed, please do me the favor of following, whether you're watching on YouTube or on TikTok. We do this every Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. I am here. We speak about things that are very big, very small, very interesting in this football of ours. We also do watch-alongs of Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns, Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns ladies, Banyana, Bafana Bafana. Those are the big matches that we do. We're going to be live this weekend watching those matches. So please, if you have not followed, follow, man, guys. Follow. Press the button. Yeah, guys, and thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you then tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Friday is 12:30 shows for my breadwinners who contribute financially towards the show. As a thank you to them, they get to steer the show, decide what we're speaking about, speak more than I do. So if you want to be part of those breadwinners, please head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and you'll be able to join one of my memberships. 20 Rand, the cheapest one. You get Friday shows, but also you get access to our WhatsApp group, which is where we have even deeper discussions on everything that you see here, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you then tomorrow, 12:30.